doorstep, no light within the rock, and she called out, and I fell in. She gave a smile, I floated in the wind. I met a red lady, she stole my lonesome soul. I thought I found a diamond, she's a shallow lump of coal. She feeds on the fires of the cold pit of hell. So I shout for the Lord to save me from myself. Lord, save me from myself. That was not Mad a Red Lady, which is how I spelled it at the start. That was Meta Red Lady, and I think I got it right here. I was reminded of this video because Fix Shades reposted the video where I mentioned it, and I got a comment. I was alerted to it first by none other than Francis Rude, who came on to one of my old Lift Aloft videos, and let me see if I can find it again. Hold on. Called 30 Seconds with Lift Aloft, number 11, Let God Work. And I actually appreciate the revisit of this particular video, and that's the point of the message here. I'll put the StreamYard link down there if anybody wants to come in. The point of that was in direction to two particular groups. Now, at the time the video was made, let me see if I can go there and forgive me if the sound goes. All right, it didn't, fortunately. Made the video on April 30th of 2012. So this was over 7 years ago. And the premise of the video, I'll read you the, first I'll type it, actually I'll put it in here. I usually, in these little mini snippet things that I would do, I usually put the premise. And I'll pop it in here so that I can now show it. The most successful witness we can be for those lost in hate groups is to make our point and then leave the members of the hate groups to their own devices. And this was the message that God had given me at the time with regards to a group that some of you know by the name of A Mighty Wind. And I was referencing the time that it worked before with a hate group that was affiliated with a number of YouTubers who claimed Christianity, who would do such things as start a knucklehead review, which was solely designed to feature a particular individual that they wanted to condemn. And it was along the lines of the same groups, I think about that time, just before of no, maybe this came after. I was thinking about the Rational, or the Triple R gang. The Triple R gang came after this, if I remember correctly. I was talking about the group with another brother, Mark, and I think Yoke Up at the time. And it was at the point where they were being ignored, and they ended up starting to fight with each other. It was like the thing that kept them together was the fight. And it wasn't until the fight would stop that they started to attack each other. And it happened with the Yoke Up group. It happened with a mighty wind in the end, and I didn't know what was going to happen. This turned out to be a prophetic thing. That's why I really appreciate Francis bringing it to my attention, and Thick Shades reposting it. Is that it was successful, and if you look at it now, I mean, a mighty wind. You look at them now. There are people. There's a guy that did a whole video attacking me for an hour, who was a very loyal devotee, who now is a demon to Elizabeth, and that was because there reaches a point where you've said enough, and now it's just time to let the juices flow, let God do His work, let hope that the Holy Spirit will implant into somebody the desire for repentance, to change. And that is the motivation with everything that I think that I do, for sure, but I think that the majority of us did with Yoke Up and Crew, and also with A Mighty Wind, was we called it to attention. We got into some battles as a result of it. There was a lot of false defamatory claims made against those who were making claims against these groups. I remember Yoke Up called me poop, and there was a video done by A Mighty Wind saying that I was a vampire, as many of you know. And so we reached, it was great that I look at this now and I realize God did His work. It's fantastic. Hi, David. So it was really great for me to see 7.5 years ago, Rob Reed, me, making a prophecy. Now, this video today was used by Thick Shades, though, for another purpose, and I'm not sure why, except, well, I think I do know why, because Frances Rude kind of solidified it. I'll put her little thing that she said on my video today, on that video that I did 7 years ago. She searched for it, I guess. And she said, in shorthand, I guess, an incorrect verbiage, it's just too very bad. You can't pay attention to your own vid and also your commenters. I did pay attention, but the thing is, Francis, you're succumbing to Thick Shades' commentary. His commentary about that was that I was being a hypocrite, and I really don't understand how he thinks it applies to him, except if he considers himself a hate group. Remember, this video was directed towards hate groups, people that we're expressing hate. We're putting hate out there. We're condemning people and pointing fingers. I mean, I suppose I find it amusing that Thick Shades would consider himself a hate group, and that somehow I'm being a hypocrite because the words that I'm saying in this video should apply for him as well. But what I wanted to say, what I just wanted to share before I went home, is that there will be a time for that. There's a season for everything. And the season for now, I guess, for the hate group that is circling around Sam, there will be a season for silence. And I think we're close to that, but not yet. I mean, you have to get your message out. We got the message out with the Yoke Up group, and the more that we fought and fought and fought, the more that they dug in, I should say. And then when we let it go, it was free for all against each other, and the primary members of that particular group ended up despising each other. 2 of them actually ended up divorced. It was horribly sad. I take no joy in everything that happened there. And the thing is, I actually visited Jeff's Facebook page today. I just came across it. I don't know how. I thought about him today. And it's probably because I saw somebody in my Facebook feed like something that he did or something, and somehow it got to me. And he started a restaurant. He's done some great things, and I sent him a real encouraging message today. And it all kind of started with this video being reminded of him today, because that's what this was about, and how I watch him now, and he's not spending time on YouTube condemning people. He's not doing all the things that he did before. He's making barbecue, and he's doing it all for the glory of God. It's really cool to see. And if I were to see something like that when the season of silence comes, I guess, for the hate group that Sam is acknowledging he's leading, I guess. I don't understand, again, why he's bringing this video up, but that's the only conclusion I can make, is that I'd love for, in 7 years' time, actually 10 years' time, I guess, because the yoke up thing had already dissolved by this point, I'll be so pleased to see that, you know, the people in the particular group there are doing things for the glory of God, and they're not too infested with hurting people and pointing fingers at people. That'd be great. So that was what that video was about. Now, Foreigner Story mentions Ezekiel 13. That is all I have to say about the current hate group. And you'll forgive me because I don't know what's in Ezekiel 13 off the top of my head. Well, false prophets condemned. There can be false prophets. I don't think that, you know, a lot of us, unfortunately, on Facebook, or sorry, on YouTube, we get, if we make a prophecy, like I did here 7 years ago, sometimes they're not going to come true. And I don't think that, you know, I mean, it can hurt us if we're too absorbed in our own prophetic word, if you will. Like if we went crazy and said something like, the tribulation's already happened and we're in the midst of tribulation now, and it was set into works 2 years ago, and this is the tribulation, you know. Or like that guy that's in the Los Angeles area, and I think throughout Southern California, I can't remember his name, but he's since passed on. He had a group that predicted the end of the world some 6 years ago, I think, and that didn't come to pass, and then they had to make excuses and stuff. But really, the prophetic word is Scripture, what you put out, what God says in His Word. That's, if we just confess the gospel, or we read Scripture and testify, excuse me, to the truth of Scripture, then we are prophesying, and we're prophesying in a very, very safe way. And for me here, I'm looking, I didn't put any Scripture to support it, but I suppose that it would be, you know, when Jesus, back to the persons of peace thing, and my pastor had a great teaching, and around this time I remember, about persons of peace. If somebody's not a person of peace to you, just dust your feet off. It just meant that you are not a person of peace with that person, so you can't help that person. It's just not working for whatever reason. Help, you know, do as far as you can, spread, you know, your message, why somebody's wrong, and at some point in time, dust your hands, dust your feet, move on, and hope and pray that someone that individual will listen to will be a person of peace for them. And that's why it was so annoying for me about certain people here who get upset when you talk with their enemies. How could you talk to those heretics? How could you deal with those people? Well, if they're persons of peace with me, like let's say David, you have a number of people that aren't persons of peace with you right now. I have some too. And so there are some people that are not persons of peace with you who are persons of peace with me, or at least used to be. And so I'll deal with people that God puts into my way, that whether I can try and encourage them, edify them, rebuke them as necessary, which has happened with some particular individuals. And you'll have to read the context. I mean, you can explain. I don't want to go too deep into that right now. I just want, and I don't want to make this a super long video, but I did put a link if you want to come in and mention the relevance of it. But I don't want it to be, you know, too contentious. I don't want this to be contentious, other than to respond again to Francis and Sam regarding this video that I don't consider you guys a hate group necessarily. My main issue with Sam is just the fact that he's bearing false witness against me, at least in the last couple of videos that I did, and not confessing to the truth of what he did and what he was involved with in the face of obvious evidence. So that's all I'm dealing with. And at some point in time, I have to say to the Francis Roods of the world, or the Shanny's moms of the world, that okay, they're just gonna, they decide that the scales are gonna remain on their eyes and they're just not gonna see the truth, or they're just never gonna be a person of peace for me, or not, at least at this moment in time, and maybe one day. Because the last conversation I had with Shanny's mom was a very nice conversation. I thought it was very peaceful. She was a person of peace to me. I obviously don't agree with a lot of the things that she does here. The primary thing that I know that she does here, that she has done here, the only reason that I know her, and that's why I call her Shanny's mom, is because she got involved with that drama that I really don't know a lot about, but learned a lot about from the mom. And I had a lot of issues with that. So what's going to happen? I hope silence will happen with Sam. I think that it probably should. So in that case, I'm thankful for maybe that little reminder. But it really wasn't, when I made that video, I don't think I'd remake this video and make it thinking about Sam and Francis and Elizabeth. I don't think so, because I view each one of you, believe it or not, as Christians, because you confess Christ. I just think that the support of things that are totally antichrist and totally of the world, and blatant revealed support of it on video by probably the inaction and failure to speak as much as it is the things that you have said. I'm drawing conclusions, and I'll stop drawing conclusions. Ezekiel 13 from David talks about those who say there is peace when there is no peace, and God saying that he will deliver his people from them. Yeah, that's the nature of the beast that is YouTube, that we're suckered into, unfortunately. It's a very sad state of affairs, at least as it relates to the Christian Brotherhood, the brethren online. But I've said it before, and I think in some of these Lift-A-Loft videos, I saw another one that dealt with the church, and does one have to go to the church building in order to deepen one's walk with Christ? I would say not necessarily a building, but you better be involved with people in real life, not here. Don't get your teaching and your pastoring and your shepherding from people on here who you see on a video that might occasionally respond to some text that you put in their video. It's not the right thing. And I'm saying that even with the words that I'm saying now. Talk to a pastor, talk to people, talk to a group in person. And that kind of fellowship is the only real kind of fellowship for Christians, at least. The only worthwhile fellowship. It's the way they did it in the Bible, right? I mean, they didn't have internet, they didn't have telephone, they didn't have ways. They had to meet each other in person, and it was usually at somebody's house. So it was in a building. It just wasn't in a building that was built solely for the purpose of worship. But then again, that wasn't unheard of to the early Christians, because they had the temple, they had buildings, they had the Holy of Holies, they had separation where God would reside. I mean, those things were totally within the realm of knowledge, and the idea of a church building, if you will, a temple, that was not unheard of for them. You have to be involved with those things, and that'll help a lot of stuff. Because the people that I see in real life with regards to YouTube drama, they tell me, you're wasting your time. And I don't know if, it's good to hear that word, to be um, given that word, but I don't feel that's the word necessarily that God's given me here. I feel that, especially with the conversation that I had with, and I'm thinking about Sam in particular, I think just last week, it was a good conversation. That he can be a person of peace with me, I think. And it'd be a lot easier if he just came to grips with if he accepted my apology for not taking it private, which I've apologized numerous times, and at the same time confessed to it and said, yeah, I mean, everything that Rob said was right. I had domains, they had pornographic names, and it was pointed to pornography, and I shouldn't have done that. It's that simple. So many on YouTube are corrupt, says Daniel. Yeah, but see, Daniel, we're all corrupt, right? And if to that, Frances has some point with what she has said on another comment, I think that was on a Thick Shades video. With regards to me, it was about, let God should be the one to do the judging. And, she had pointed something. She didn't say it to me directly, but I mean, it was obviously directed towards me, the idea that God is in control and he will do the chastisement. So be quiet, be still. I don't agree with that philosophy, obviously. And neither does the Bible, particularly among those who profess Christianity. And again, that's 1 Corinthians 5. Paul didn't stay silent with regards to the activities of what was happening in the church at Corinth. And he was upset because there were people in that church group in Corinth who were staying silent. Now, I just got Francis Root is also testing me, asking me if I believe about Adam and Eve's original sin, which I said I did. But she said, do you believe in original sin, or do you believe in age of accountability? And I was like, well, I believe in both, because I believe there's an age of accountability based on, I guess, Deuteronomy 1, I think it's at 139, that where God, while he wouldn't let Moses in because Moses doubted him, that was Moses' sin, wouldn't let him into the land of milk and honey, the promised land. He was allowing children because they were too young to know the difference between right and wrong. And I think that's the way it would happen as well. And I trust in that, because I believe that all those children, for instance, those fetuses, those children, those babies who are lost to abortion, they get an instant pass. I grieve more for those who have the abortion, because that's a sin that they continue to have to live with, and I think be haunted by. But now Frances has responded to me when I told her that I believed in both. She didn't like that answer, and she said she limited it to, did I believe in the case of original sin, and that Adam and Eve, their sin fell on all of us, that the sin of the first humans fell on all of us, whether it's allegorical or truthful. Factual, yeah, absolutely. We are all sinners, and it's just naturally in our character. That's the message of Adam and Eve, really, to me. It's not whether those details are 100% accurate or truthful. They very well may be. I believe they are, but I believe that I believe Adam and Eve were the representatives of the first beings of the human race that God created, and they were naturally sinful, like we always are. That we all are, whether there was a true tree of or not, that could be representative of something else, totally, something that God was unhappy with, whether they turned into their own little gods and ignored him for a while, or whatever it was, they were sinful. Now Frances responds, and I haven't read this, so why is she saying no, though? Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find my answer, or what I said. I said, she said to make what I am at, so you'll see it, and then I'll try and understand this in context. This is from Francis. She said, to make what I'm asking clear, do you believe Adam, Eve, sin fell on mankind from birth? Original sin, babies are born in sin. Francis, and I said in the simplest terms, yes. So you'll see that. And then she, what was she respond? Oh, I said to her, I said, I assume that you came here because then she made that comment that I first posted before where she was basically calling me out for being a hypocrite, I guess. And then in her opinion, and then I responded to her question about original sin. I said, I assume that you came here because of the ridiculous thick shades video. Do you consider yourself a member of a hate group? That's what this video pertains to, as I've explained before. And that's what she responded to. I said, Francis, do you consider yourself a member of a hate group? And she said, no, I've been on your pages several times. You seem to be of the opinion because I am on someone's page that automatically means you support them. I am on tons of pages. I used to be under the impression that's what they are put up for. Oh, and then she says, I'm also on the one about testimonies, the one where you put bingo on mine. I don't know what that is. It's too bad you can't listen to your own videos because that's exactly what I do on pages. I stay till the Lord leads off. God bless you. P.S. I never saw your vid. I just came on as you were going off. I don't know what she's talking about now. Probably be easier to speak with her rather than have to try and understand what's in her head. Let me answer her again. No, she says that because she's on someone's page, then I seem to believe that she supports them. No, it's when you're on a page of somebody who has been accused of something and is in vehement denial of that thing that he did, which was bad, and not only vehement denial, but vehement denial in the face of evident, like tons of evidence that shows the opposite, and then making claims like maybe you should sue the guy, or making claims about people that bear false witness. I don't think when you're posting that you were directing it at the person who did the video. You were directing it at folks like me. And that's where it's obviously viewed as support. You're obviously supporting because there was nothing that you put in there that said, let me tell you about fornication and leading people into sin, or millstones around necks or something like that. Then that would make some sense, Francis, but you didn't do that. So failure to do that means you are more concerned about those who were doing the accusing, those who were doing the finger pointing, in my case, but doing the finger pointing with a lot of good reason. And I think righteous anger. That's a tough thing to say. I don't feel that comfortable saying that because I'm not a fan of that particular use of the of Jesus' statement, make a righteous judgment, because I don't think that was an instruction. But in other words, why I say that is I don't think that what I did is not going private was what Jesus would be upset at. But I think that Jesus would have made the same arguments. Jesus would not laugh at what was done. Jesus would say, "Oh, my dear child, what are you doing? You're getting messed up in some really bad stuff." This is in reference to Sam. So don't do that. I think that, don't go and don't sin anymore, I think is what Jesus would say. And that's what I say to Sam. Daniel says death was passed because of the enlightenment that was given through the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. Yeah, that's what I think really happened there. I mean, you can imagine it was the idea. Something happened in terms of, like, with the first humans of embarrassment, and that embarrassment probably came out of the fact that the biological sex act that God has given us, gifted us with, that it's pleasurable, that would lead to the whole thing of, like, if it's so pleasurable, maybe there should be something wrong with it. but there's some issue of when things are so pleasurable. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. That self-control is a real hard thing for us, especially us men, to control. And I can imagine the same would have been for two people who are naked when they realize that it's their nakedness that allows them to do that pleasurable act, right? And that's where it might have come all about. And that's really it's the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the flesh, I think, goes to, idolatry as well. The lust of the flesh is like, and I suffer from that because I love the Dodgers. And I will scream for the Dodgers a lot louder than I'll scream in church. I'll confess that. I think if you're a sports fan watching this, you might feel the same way, but it's true. And I've heard it said in a sermon before. I've mentioned it in a sermon actually that I did, which was the concept of, I was thinking about when my family was all together and we're all in fellowship and we're eating together and we're watching game 7 of the Lakers versus the Portland Trailblazers, I think in 2000 or 2001. And it was a must-win game, and the Lakers were down by like 18 points going into the fourth quarter or something. And Shaq and Kobe led the way, and they beat the Trailblazers and went on, and then they ended up winning the championship. And my family was yelling so loud during that. I mean, we were jumping up and down. We were doing that, but you won't find me doing that kind of stuff in church when I'm talking about the greatest event of all time, or thinking about the greatest event of all time. And that was Jesus dying on the cross and rising again, giving us victory over death. That's the thing we should go, yeah. But we take stuff for granted. 400 story, David, he says, it's better for you to see the sins and grieve over it, just as Lot did when he was grieved over the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that was credited to him for righteousness. Yeah, and that's really, I think it's a fine line, if I'm honest, because, I want to be able to say that my sole motivation is grief. There's a lot of motivation. That was the start. And it was not grief at when this all came out 5 months ago. It was not grief over Sam's sin per se. It was grief over where Pokemon.net was being directed to. That was what I had great grief over, and that turned into anger, and then that sent me over the line, because by that time, I think it was a month before or something, or a few weeks before, Bruce and I discovered that xvideo.net and pornogirls.net had gone back to pointing to pornographic content. And we mentioned those to Sam, and then he ended up taking them down real quickly. And then I looked at the past list of domains that I had for Sam and that he didn't know I knew about, and one of them being Pokemon.net. And I was like, my goodness, what is happening here? And all I could think about was my own kid and Pokemon, his love of Pokemon when he was like 8, 9, 10 years old. So that's what led to all that stuff. Hi, Sibel. I'm just about closing up, but this started just to talk about the issue of silence and seasons, and when there's going to be a time of silence. And I suspect that's going to come soon, because at some point in time, what is that expression in the Bible? Kicking against the goads or the pricks, right? You can only do that for so long, and you start to really end up hurting yourself. And it's the even impetus for this. The thing that was the impetus for me making this video was certainly what I was feeling about the prophecy in this video that Sam mirrored, that he was trying to tie into himself. But it was also, the impetus was Francis Rood and Sam, their implication that I'm somehow a hypocrite by it. I'm not a hypocrite. God's call on me right now is to call that out. And I'm very glad that was effective. And it probably is going to be a situation where my silence is going to be the most effective for Sam and his group. I haven't felt the pull from the Holy Spirit telling me that that's the case just yet. If that's the case, my prayer would be that God would show me if that's the case for him, and to take away my flesh, the fleshly desire to defend myself from false claims about me. At some point in time, knowing, especially with yesterday when I posted the video, and I don't know if Sabella you were here, but I reposted the date stamp video, or not. I posted for the first time. I don't know if anyone saw that actually. I privatized those videos because they were pornographic, that I was making a point in case Shani's mom had come in here or Francis had come in here to see, the claims that I made go well beyond a parking page from 2011. They go from actual content from 5 months ago. And as you know, Sabella, because as we know, you were instrumental in getting him to stop that. So you saw it. So when he says, like, no, I was never involved in any pornography, Robbie, as he said, you know that is just a flat lie. And there's that fleshly part of me that's like, well, gosh. And when I see people on his feed that aren't getting that, all right, well, then I was not led by God to show that video yesterday. There's no way. That was totally fleshly. God would not want people to see that. And that's why in the midst of doing it, I thought, and this is probably God chastising me. He's like, you idiot. And then I go, Sam, Holy Spirit. Anyway, yeah, DB Cisco, how you doing? STFU accuser, Thickalonian 666. True. You're now the literal devil. I haven't seen that, Sabella, but I feel bad for that. But you know what? That I never, Sabella, as many problems as we had, I don't think I might have been particularly mean to you one time. I remember something. I hope you forgive me for that. I don't remember if that was the case for sure. I don't know if I'm thinking about Shani. I was probably mean to you, but I don't think I called you the devil. I hope I didn't, and if I did, then I apologize for that. Forerunner story. If it gives any comfort, the silence to them is the same thing I've been getting in prayer. This is a confirmation for me. Then good. Watch this video, then I'm going to link it. Or maybe I'll show it. I didn't say anything. I think I'll close on with showing it, if that's okay with everybody. So let me see if I share the screen, and I'll just replay my own video. I'm silent. It was from, and I'll put the link down. Gosh, I hate when, I think that's it right there. When it has all this other mumbo jumbo on there. I think that should work. But there's no sound necessary with it, so I'll just even put it down. I put up a sign, various signs, and this is when we stop, and this was in the context, this was directed really to the people that were joining me in condemning a mighty wind and the horrible things that cult was doing. And this is exactly, or nearly 5 months, a little over 5 months after they subpoenaed or Google for the private information of 120 plus people, and we're threatening to sue. And so I said, when we, let's see, or you started again. Oh, is it not going to play now? Unbelievable. The internet here is horrible. Here we go. When we stop, then it freezes. Basically, the idea is when we stop, and you can look at it in the link if it works for you, is when we stop paying attention to these people and allowing them to dig in and defend themselves, and we give them an opportunity to look at themselves, and they're so condemning of other people, that you just know that when you're not the one they're condemning, when you're not giving them attention, they're going to need to find that attention somewhere else. And they usually find it in their own, and they end up eating their own, as the expression goes. And that happened 2 times. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry that this didn't play. I think Francis might have left me another message. No, that looks like the same one. All right. I'll stop sharing that screen. No reason to hold a grudge. Well, I'm glad you didn't even mention. And I don't hold a grudge. I think I still have a video of you where you said that Sam had me as his attorney in the case that he said he should have won. I don't hold a grudge for that. Maybe not. Maybe. I'm not sure. Daniel says, God bless you, Rob. Thank you for your music. I hope that you're blessed by it. I had an opportunity to give out a lot of CDs over the last weekend because we were doing music at a harvest festival at a church in Granada Hills, California. And that was a lot of fun. And it's always fun for me to pass down the blessing that God gave me in writing a lot of those songs. So that was fun. And if you like I've said before, if you'd like to hear my music, I'm more than happy to send you CDs. CDs seem to be out of fashion now, and I don't know how many that I have left. I have a lot of the Start of a New Life, because that one was produced by a record company, and they put a lot of money into it, and we sold a good number of CDs, but we bought way more than we sold. So I know that I still have a lot of them. So I'm more than happy to pass them out. Maybe if you pay postage or something, or maybe I'll just pay the postage. If you want, you can leave a message down below. I think I sent some to DB Cisco too. So the new music is coming soon, so pay attention to this channel. I'll talk about it. I'm planning with a guy who owns a studio. He's amazing. My friend Lance Fuchs. He is committed to me. I think we might even be starting a worship band that we're going to try and play elsewhere. But more importantly, he's committed to me. He wants us to meet 2 hours a week to just hammer out some new songs and work them out, and for the glory of God, of course. So, yeah, no, my pleasure, DB Cisco. And look who's here.
Who? What? Wait.
Is that you?
It's me. It's me. Don't talk about me. Try not to talk about me with all the slander and defamations and deprecation and all that, it's farts and all that stuff. You know, I'm trying to like be quiet.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much of this video started, but it really started from someone. I mean, the accusation that I'm a hypocrite based on a video that I did related to hate groups, and it was almost like a confession that Sam and Francis are admitting they're in a hate group, which I wouldn't say, but it was just strange to me that, you know, the point I was making is, if they knew the context, and I know Sam knows the context of those videos, is we weren't silent all the time. We were condemning and pointing fingers at the horrible cult activity Mighty Wind was doing, and you certainly weren't silent, sir, with Yoke Up and another brother Mark with their stuff. No. You know, you even dressed as a girl, I think, once, and you did
a couple times, but I'm not like. So, even though I do hit on thick shades now and then, like, you know, yeah. I'll give them hearts and hugs and kisses and call them sexy and stuff like that. I can't help it, you know.
Yeah. Well, Sabella says I'm also a bad worship pastor, apparently. Well, I mean, he's right in the sense that, you know, my pastor would never be on a video like this, I don't think, because my pastor has done, you know, and he's not in the business of condemnation because he's a better follower of Christ than I am, I would say. I mean, I'm a good worship pastor when I just play the banjo, I think. If I stick to playing the banjo, then I'm most effective, and I will agree with that, right? Although what do you think about like this video that I put up where I said, like, it was a prophecy, really, I think, towards Mighty Wind, because I said in the midst of the Mighty Wind stuff, when it was really, we were only like 5 months into the subpoena that they filed, and people were still scared of them, and they were still fighting all of us, right? I just said, maybe we just need to be quiet about them and watch them eat their own, and they're going to fail on their own. And look what's happened in the 7 years. We're not really even talking about them that much because they destroyed themselves.
Yeah. Well, oh boy. I was laughing at Daniel's comment in there. Oh,
I'm not gonna put that up.
No, I didn't really. I didn't. I had a picture of him that I taped up in the bottom of the toilet, and with I covered it in plastic so that the water wouldn't ruin it, and I taped it all up and everything, and taped it inside so the water, I could on it, and then the water would run down when I flushed, and it didn't even destroy the picture. It lasted nearly a month.
Wow. Well,
day after day after day.
Did you really do that?
Yeah, and I eat a lot of food, so I mean, it goes right through me.
It would only be bad now if you were in Los Angeles area because of all the tacos and things you probably would end up eating. That would have made things worse. Like if it was me, that would be bad.
It was mainly oatmeal and beef,
Yeah, no. So Bella, he's not saying anything. I mean, I have to try and give him context. This is for Sam. He didn't say anything other than I'm a hypocrite, and I'm assuming that he was applying that message to me. In other words, saying that if I wasn't a hypocrite, I would listen to that video and I would never say anything about him back. But that's not what that video said, and that was really a part of what I'm explaining now. That again, it's about seasons, and I'm hoping for a season where I can just be quiet about the guy. And I think you're nearing that, Bruce, with the idea of that.
Well, I wanted to apologize for lying because it wasn't just tape. What I did was I took the picture, I printed it out, I took it in one of those places where like they stamp your license, they put that plastic around your license, and then I epoxied it into the toilet after I emptied it and then shut off the water valve, And when it got dry, I epoxied it on there. It's
like a tile.
Oh yeah, inside the toilet though, and it's gonna like a little, and it bent and stuff, real nice to fit the curvature right there where it drops down in the tank. It'll be there for probably years, and it I don't know, it's just nice. And what I've always liked is like somebody says, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" And I go in, what's that picture in there of? Well, so I have to be truthful, that is the one thing I can't stand is a damn liar. I hate to say it that way, but liar. No.
I think as the expression goes in the world, PIX or GTFO. So if you don't have and that's get the fart out is what that means.
Yeah. No, it's like folk, country folk. Get the folk out of here.
Folk, yeah, is what that for PIX or so I would need to see a picture
out of it. Piss me upon you.
But then even then, could I believe it? Even if you showed me a picture, because I would just say you're a liar and a false accuser.
Yeah, so no, I really didn't do that. But anyhow, I think it's fun to think about, though. I mean, I would have, I don't know what you call it, memories, So like years down the road, you'd have some type of something to remind you. But I didn't. It's fun to think about though, but as I say goodbye, because I mean there's like I don't know what you think, but I sort of see it's not an adventure by any means, but I did find something else of interest. I should be playing my guitar more, but I kind of
I'm hoping to do, I think I'm going to do some videos that are going to feature one of my songs and what scripture it was based on, and how I wrote it, maybe how long or who I wrote it with, maybe give people some background with it. Maybe that might be interesting. That might be interesting to you. That'll help to ease out of the drama, maybe.
I don't know if you got my message. I wrote you back, and
well, that wasn't my message. That was a message from Janet, right?
Yes, but I wrote you back anyhow, and I'd say it's not really where I want to be. But I'd say,
well,
yeah. I mean,
let me just say, like, I think that there were words, something to the effect of why that particular guy hasn't been like drawn to our attention. And I tried to watch some videos of the guy that she was mentioning. They're boring. So that's a positive thing I could say about Sam is your stuff's not boring.
Well, yeah, but what is interesting about that particular issue is it is boring. I agree, and yet
I watch it. So that she said that he says certain things, and I was anxious to hear them, if you will, about woman, and basically that there's no such thing as rape in the marital bed is essentially the point that I felt they were saying. And I couldn't, he never got there. I'm like waiting, and I hear, there's some things that, you'd say for somebody that takes the Bible literally, there's no, in the same way that there was one of those yoke-up cronies, if you remember the guy in the wheelchair. You remember that heavyset guy in the wheelchair with the mustache?
Oh, he was a trip. Yeah, I remember now.
Do you remember that I got into this thing with him about drinking alcohol. He was like, you can't drink alcohol if you're a Christian. Here's all the scripture why. And this guy that Janet,
that.
You don't remember that?
No, I do remember some of that.
Yeah, the videos are still up. I still have unlift a lot.
He was a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the guy, especially some things really, it was kind of a shame. He needed some type of operation or something, I forget. And they wouldn't allow him on a table because they were afraid he'd break the table.
Yeah. Then he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, I guess he did.
And then he was gone. I hope he's okay. I can't remember his name for the life of me.
No.
Can you remember his Instagram handle?
It's possible. It's hard to think about in a way, but I do wonder if with some people, as I look at other things. But anyhow, some people though, in situations like that, it might truly affect their mental state. Well, I mean, to such a degree that they have to leave,
Yeah, but I mean, the point I was making with it was that with this group, he's using scripture to justify, and you can do that to justify how a woman should she needs to shut up and listen to her husband, and she has to do everything the husband says. Now, I don't feel comfortable with that. I never read Jesus himself using those words. I see Paul using those words. I see the context of scripture where Jesus knew some of his disciples who were women. They followed him and he taught them, and he held them in high esteem. If you look at the sisters of Lazarus, he held that family in very high esteem. And then I look even at what the early disciples were doing, and they had women who were a part of the crew that were teaching, as far as I could see. And then you think about Old Testament, you think about Deborah the judge, and and then I think about my own wife, who I love so much. She's my best friend, and the idea of doing something that would grieve her, in particular, like demanding.
Well, I think the big thing is that if they're going to wear a dress, it needs to be long enough that you can't see their ankles. And I would appreciate if they have their hair covered, so I don't have to. People can't look at their hair and figure out what they look like, because I don't want people to see their hair.
This is about good.
Right for that.
This is how I felt before I was a Christian. Okay, like I wouldn't want to be with a woman who was out there flaunting herself, because why does a woman flaunt herself like that if not for attention? And
yes, I understand that, but it does. But you get to a point where you can't. I mean, where ankles and knees are covered, and the hair always has to be covered. It does get. I can get the idea with makeup. I can get the idea.
I didn't see that video. Like, this guy apparently does that. Like, you have to have head covering and stuff. And so, Sister Sunshine, if you're just joining us, I don't know if you heard, but I tried to watch a couple of videos. I couldn't see what you were talking about. He has a lot of videos about other stuff, and they're like an hour and 40 minutes of sheer boredom. There's nothing charismatic.
Yeah, it is boring.
A positive thing that I could say. So I was going through a couple of them. Janet had mentioned.
Wait, now, sisters. calling him the Mandela guy. Does he believe in the Mandela effect too? Oh my. Really? I didn't know that. Wait, is it the same guy we're talking about? Oh my. Huh.
No, who's the Mandela guy? That's not the same guy.
Oh, no. That's the other crazy guy. That's not.
Is that Danger Keys? Danger Keys or something?
Felix or something, or Photo something. No, that's totally different deal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's how I felt even as a non-believer, like Sister Sunshine says. I didn't want to. For one, I think it's a woman with severe low self-esteem, and I want a woman with incredible self-esteem. And thank God that I married one. And
wait, go ahead. What? I interrupted. Sister Sunshine getting me all worked up.
No, she's talking about the Helix guy.
No, she's saying though that if a woman dresses sexy, she is looking for your replacement. Holy.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense. Although, look, sexy is my wife dresses sexy to me, but not in the sense like she's not wearing biker shorts to the bowling alley with a cutoff shirt.
Well, they wake up that way. Don't they get some clothes on? But I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, there are things. I like a woman who's modest, and it turns out that that's scriptural, and I think that a woman who respects herself is the kind of woman that personally I want to be involved with. A woman who's also a little bit self-deprecating. What I love about my wife is she's beautiful, but she doesn't act like it, and sometimes she's too self-deprecating sometimes. I like women like that, and you could be. My wife happens to be beautiful on the outside, but she's also very beautiful on the inside. And I think that beauty is just as valuable on the inside, and you can see it. And especially in Christian sisters who shine the light of Christ and the love of Christ, you don't want to see them. Especially you remember David Jenkins, the pastor.
Yeah.
Love Pastor David. He's now a personal trainer. But he makes jokes all the time about women that get up on the pulpit and they're wearing low-cut dresses, tops and tight pants, and they're preaching, and he's like, it's just, that's not right.
Man, I had a rough time though. I'll be honest. I went to a concert. I'll just say her name was Sheila. I won't say anything more. And she was wearing very, very tight black spandex tights.
On stage at church?
Oh, it was a big like college gymnasium or something, and there was, the place was packed. I forget who else was playing that night. I think it was Phil Kagi, if I remember right. But I left because I went with a girlfriend. It was years ago, and we were always fighting it anyhow. But looking up on stage, they were so tight that you could see the shape of, and I'm like, I had to leave, man. I paid to go in too, and I left. And it bugged me that much. I just, it was like, you're going to church and you're getting condemned for living in sin, and you go to the concert and you see that and you go, wait a minute.
Yeah, it used to be a problem that we had with involving youth in the worship team too. And I would have to
comment here. Oh, is that?
I'd have to talk to some of the young ladies and say, you shouldn't be wearing high up dolphin shorts while you're leading.
There's somebody in the private chat, Rob.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think that's the right one, though, unfortunately.
No. Okay. But
I highly doubt it. Let's see. I like what
if it is, then tell me. Just say safety or no safety for Forerunner. He'll know.
Safety or no safety, Forerunner?
Yeah. The answer should be. And then I'll ask one question after that. If he answers that one right, then you'll know.
About Javid, Pastor Javid he doesn't really refer to himself as Pastor Javid, but what's so great about what he's done for himself, if you remember, Pastor Javid was he's a huge man. He's like 6'6", and he was incredibly heavy, and he's lost so much weight, and he's just awesome. I mean, he's starting a second gym. He opened up a gym in Chicago, and it's doing really, really well, and God's blessing him. So I love what he's doing. Sister Sunshine says, "What are dolphin shorts?" Laughing out loud. You know what dolphin shorts are.
I don't know. Oh, you mean tight like dolphin skin?
No, they were actual brand. It was a brand. I'm gonna have to show. I think Sister Sunshine's making it up. Let me see if they're still around.
I don't even look at stuff like that. Well.
They're high-waisted and high-legged.
High-waisted?
Well, yeah.
That sounds like somebody trash smoking way too much dope.
They're almost like Mickey Mouse shorts, but imagine them tight and really high up.
It almost sounds. Wait, how would they look on Urkel?
Not good. The butt is basically like hanging out.
Oh, that's not good.
In the 80s, Sister Sunshine, you and I both a product of out here in Southern California.
Go look these up.
I would show it, but I'd probably cause people to stumble. So you go stumble on your own.
Okay.
Because I don't see the brand anymore. Oh, let's see. The Wikipedia has dolphin shorts. The Hooters girls wear them, basically. Orange dolphin shorts are specified as part of the uniform for waitresses at Hooters, is what I see on the Wikipedia. So, and one high-profile wearer of dolphin shorts is the fitness guru Richard Simmons. So, you could show Richard, I guess, and then imagine they're like Daisy Dukes, but they're like the Hooters girl. They were made of a different fabric. The Daisy Dukes are denim, but the dolphin shorts are like polyester and thin.
And I didn't like about that show. I wouldn't watch it. No, Daniel, I just watched the cars crash.
Yeah, Daniel says about the dolphin shorts, somewhat cheeky. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what he meant, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh. Let's see what I got here.
Wow, Hooters uniform, shorts, dolphin logo. Huh. Well, I see what you're saying there now. My goodness.
Did he answer in private?
I got to shut it off.
He came into the chat, and I suspect it's not him. So, safety or not safety in the private, runner, or you don't come on. Remember the shorts called Jams in the 80s? That I don't remember. But I had OP and Lightning Bolt. I was a huge proponent. I was just talking with my wife about this today because I'm like, how did you view me in the 80s? Because when she met me, I was kind of like a surfer dude, a wannabe surfer dude who didn't surf. And then by the time I was 15, I was a prep. And so something's in the private chat now. Did you see it?
Yep, let me see. He'll know the answer to that. If he doesn't know, then it's not him.
All right. I'm glad you came in.
Oh, wait a second. He does say, no, he does. It's him.
All right. Hello.
Hey there.
Hey, what's up? Kind of crazy when there's so many trolls that you have to know the secret passwords to prove to you.
Well, I like that.
You kind of threw me on the answer for the first time, and then I'm like, but you were right, but I wasn't sure, and so I figured you definitely, can't argue with the last one.
Yeah.
You couldn't use those for me for sure, because I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm a California libtard.
Now he works for the California Highway Patrol.
Yeah, concealed carry for you guys is considered straws.
Oh, come on, now, pea shooter.
Right, he's exactly right. One of those like Swisty straws too, man. That'll get you pulled over.
Actually, Is that true? You can get a concealed carry permit in California, can't you?
No.
Well, I think if you're law enforcement, you probably can.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you can't even carry knives in California.
What if it's under 3? Yeah, you can. If it's under 3 inches, I bet you can.
I don't know the rule about that, but I know that you can carry knives legally.
But probably
you can't.
I seen a video from a motorcycle guy that was on YouTube, and he said that any kind of knives they call them felony makers, because you get felonies for carrying around any kind of knives.
I could be really wrong.
He was in California.
If you look at like the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, then they made a 3, and I'm pretty sure that was made for. And it might not be California. Maybe I suspect they might cover it, or like a Swiss Army knife or something under. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think.
Well, I'm looking up the law right now. Folded pocket knives are legal, but it is illegal for any person to conceal carry a knife described as a dirk or a dagger.
Yes.
And the legal term for that is any fixed blade knife or stabbing weapon.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if it's allowed to lock. Maybe it is allowed to have a lock. If you know that it locks open, I'm not sure if they allow that, or if they might. I'm not sure of all the different states.
The maximum legal knife length is 2 inches.
Wait, for the blade?
Yeah.
Wow, that's like kind of ridiculous.
Like the West Side Story blades. Oh, those would definitely be legal.
2 inches. I thought it was 3. Wow. That would knock out a lot of, like a small. I don't even have one laying here, but a small like Swiss Army knife. I mean, they're like 2 3/4, that kind of thing. So that would mean.
Sounds like you're only allowed to have a box cutter.
And remember, this
is occurred to my key.
This is concealed carry. You can have a non-concealed blade of over 3 inches. I think.
Over 3. Okay, well that's why there's a weird catch that I've seen.
3 inches or under.
There's a lot of people that are into this. 3 inches or under, if you're concealed.
3 inches or under if it's not concealed. 2 inches if it's concealed.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And what you see with guys doing is they'll take their knife and they'll tie a piece of paracord or something on it, and it hangs out of their pocket. And apparently, because it's connected to it, I think that's why they do that, because then it's considered legal.
I think it's just another way to get the bad guy. It's another way to charge them with something. If you think you've got a bad guy and you don't have enough for one thing, then that's probably what it was designed for.
Yeah, I don't think it would really stop somebody who wanted to go stab somebody.
Right.
That's a shame, but somebody wanted to do that. Well, they just pick up a hammer anyhow. I don't know.
They say that law actually would include a screwdriver. And I've had concealed carry screwdrivers before, not because I was concealing them, it's just I needed a place to put it, so I didn't want to hang it.
Well, what if you're working on your car or something, you throw a screwdriver in your pocket to walk to the garage or something and back?
And I forgot, like I needed a screw or something, and I left it in my, I went to the Home Depot to get something, and then forgot I had the.
There's clauses in concealed laws that if it's on your personal property, that the law doesn't apply to you. As soon as you step off of your personal property, that's when it applies.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm at the Home Depot and I forgot it was in my back pocket or something, I could get and somebody does the pat and finds what's this? Is that a screwdriver? Are you happy to see me? I'd be like, it's a screwdriver, and then I get put in jail. So that wouldn't be good.
People have been stabbed with screwdrivers, though. That has really happened.
Sure. So we should ban. I'd say I'm going to go into California government, and I'm going to pass a law to say we need to ban screwdrivers.
Yeah, no, there was a guy at a Pizza Hut. Actually, they wanted me to work in that area, and in the city area, and and I was like, man, I don't know, I don't want to do that. And some dude was stabbed to death with a screwdriver. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, see, Sister Sunshine says I'm a red hat wearing, screwdriver carrying hater.
You dang hater.
Yeah, I need an A. If I forget the screwdrivers, AK-47.
Yeah, where are you going to conceal that though?
I'm a big guy. Ask Sam. He calls me fatty. No one will know the difference.
Well, that's true. Maybe
So,
get one with a folding stock, and
yeah,
there you go.
My pants.
I actually just signed up today to go get my CPL. Pretty excited about that.
Well, you're making that known in case some of the haters there want to come meet you.
No, I mean, yeah, it's weird stuff though. With that, I don't know.
Sabella has pocket knives everywhere, so I know that if I meet Sabella, I'll meet her from far away.
No, the reason I'm getting my CPL is not because of like people on YouTube. It's because of there's a lot of news around here in Detroit of girls getting kidnapped, and my wife doesn't feel safe, and she doesn't want to go out alone. She wants to be with her all the time. That's the reason I got a gun, and I'm getting CPL so she'll be more comfortable about it. Because we just recently had a close friend that was kidnapped and sold into sex trafficking. It hit close to her and made her scared.
Nothing wrong with that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just something to make her feel more at ease when we go out in public, especially after it happened to a friend of ours,
Yeah, I did hear about that. Can't imagine how it's holding up.
She's doing pretty good. She's going to be testifying in court. The guy that originally took her is in jail because when they found the houses after I found her, they found a 14-year-old girl and it had his DNA. That girl had his DNA in her. She's 14. And, he was saying that, oh, no, she just left my house because she relapsed. She wanted to go down and get drugs. And she's over in this area. And he kept giving us different areas that were complete crap and just lies to redirect. And found her in a completely different area. Had some people help out with that. But, she's going to testify against him. And the thing that's hardest for her is that she has to go to court and relive it all. And she doesn't want to do that. She doesn't like talking about it.
It's the only way she's going to get him.
Yeah, but out of all the girls they found, only 3 are testifying.
That should be enough. I hope so.
Yeah, definitely should. He's got it on his record for the past 2. He's got unlawful imprisonment and sex trafficking on his record. He took plea deals, and he got like 4 years in prison for it. He got out, and I don't think he's going to get another plea deal because they got everyone. They closed down 4 sex traffic houses because of it. They sold her 4 different times because they couldn't handle her. Lucky she didn't get killed.
Wow. I thought that's not the same one that got shot then, right? There was something.
No, it's not the same one.
Those are different.
Yeah, it was my friend Nikki. I was helping her out because she was having issues with her husband. And it was getting really bad, and I told her, I said, you just need to leave him. She quit talking to me after that. I got preoccupied looking for Kristen, and as soon as I find Kristen, I turn around and I found out that Nikki was murdered. That hurt.
Well, we were talking about the cult that Sister Sunshine has spotted, or there's a guy out there teaching online that a woman needs to do whatever a guy says. So if her husband says that he needs to beat her if she's not behaving herself, then that's what needs to be done.
That's idiotic.
Wait, you're saying if the wife says she needs to be beat, you're saying then the husband has to do it?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, no, she can't. The tail doesn't wag the dog, according to that cult, I don't think. Those people, they would say that no, a woman cannot tell a man to do anything. And I'm going to try and explain that to my wife when she next asks me to take out the trash.
Or suppose you're going outside or something. She says, put your pants on. And you go, no.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm not gonna listen to your rules.
Yeah, that's right.
When I want to wear socks with my sandals, and she tells me I look like an idiot, even if she's right. I'm not.
Especially if you have socks with your sandals and a t-shirt because you forgot your pants. You're definitely going to look bad when you get out there. And I think you'd have a lot more problems at that point than dealing with your wife. Well, it would be shortly thereafter.
I tend to think you're correct there, sir.
Probably okay when you're driving the car, but when you get out, it's going to be bad. Yeah.
Hold on one sec.
Yikes. Well, at least most people don't dress like that when they go out.
Sorry.
That's true, Cisco. Yeah.
All right. Some folks just popped in there. Socks with sandals. Yeah, socks with sandals is not a good look. And the only reason I know that is my wife told me.
Isn't there a name for that? Is it called like shoebies or something?
I don't know. It's just I used to do it when I had Birkenstocks. My brother bought me. He would always buy me Birkenstocks when he in his hippie phase, and I'd wear socks with them all the time.
Okay, you'll laugh at this. I have to show you. I wear socks with these sometimes. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Those are Crocs.
Yeah, with the toes opened up. So they're very cool to wear with socks, especially like bright orange socks or something that really get a lot of attention.
Let me just say that those Crocs with the open toe, they look a lot better than regular Crocs.
Yeah, I like them. They're comfortable.
I hate the look of Crocs with the closed toe.
Well, I do have a pair that are they're lined, real heavy. They don't keep snow from getting in, but they do keep your feet warm.
Yeah, DB Cisco says only idiots think criminals will obey laws. Most politicians are idiots. Yeah, I agree with that. But I tell you who I really like. Have we talked about Tulsi Gabbard already? I love Tulsi Gabbard, even though she's a libtard like me. But she was a great soldier, and I love the way she talks. And I might have been drawn to her originally because she's very pretty, if I'm honest. But the more I listen to her, the more I like her.
Kind of like Jane Fonda?
No. I can't. I can't like Jane Fonda because my dad served in Vietnam. So,
yeah.
My dad. If I've said some positive stuff about it because and in truth, he enjoyed this movie very much. There's a movie called Fun with Dick and Jane. Did you ever see that from the late 70s?
No.
If you haven't, it's with George Segal. I think they did a remake, but it was awful. The original was with George Segal and Jane Fonda, and it's one of the most hilarious movies you'll ever watch. I think it came out in 77, 78, maybe 79. Fun with Dick and Jane. It's hilarious. So, yeah, here Daniel has to come up with that. All right.
That might drive me nuts. So there's a guy that he was in this movie called Heat. Can't think one of the main star guys. Apparently super liberal and anti-gun, and yet there was like massive firefights in that movie.
You talking about De Niro?
Yeah. It's kind of weird. When you look at the parts he's played in movies and then his stance, and you go, I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm trying to think. Like, not all remakes are awful, and I'm trying to think of one that's an exception to the rule. And I think that you might be right, because I feel like I saw a remake of something that I really, really liked, and I can't remember what it was. There was a remake of a great movie, the original movie with Jack Lemmon, The Out of Towners. Did you ever see that one?
Well, was apparently
You haven't seen The Out of Towners?
No.
Oh my good, that one is. Those are two of the funniest movies ever. The Out of Towners, I think, was from the 60s. Could have been early 70s.
And giving me ideas. I never know what to watch.
Well, there was a remake with Steve Martin and I think Goldie Hawn, and it was terrible. It was so bad. Yeah, Daniel says he likes Tulsi. He'd like to date her.
And you think that
Yeah.
was in the 60s, huh?
I think, let me see if I'll look at the details for the out-of-towners.
70s film, it says. Well, at least from what I just found.
Well, 1969. Oh, no, this says 1970.
Oh, wow. You know, I like the movie The Jerk. I think that was pretty funny.
Great movie. Yeah, I love that.
Cracked me up.
Yeah, that is a good movie.
You couldn't make that today, though. There's no way. You know, it's like if you remember Iron Balls McGinty, what he says the word, you know, he refers to black people with a number of different expletives. And Steve Martin, thinking that he's black, gets offended, and then he kicks Iron Balls McGinty in the iron balls and then hurts himself.
I don't remember that. No.
And he didn't know what he was talking about when he said, you know, I'm not even going to say it, but there's a bunch of things that related to black people until he hit the N word, which Steve Martin recognized. He goes, I am an N word, he says. And then
that's great. Wait, that was in The Jerk?
Yeah.
You know, I forgot that whole part.
You can't do all that stuff. Try watching the Bad News Bears again. Oh my God. I watched, because my son is so into baseball, we rented the Bad News Bears, and like in the first 5 minutes they throw out an N-bomb, and I'm like, I look at Marie and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? So I had to explain to AJ, I go, hey, don't use that word. Don't use that word.
Yeah, I wonder, and I don't know if racism is worse or better now. I don't know. Or in the last, you know, like say from the 90s on, or well, let's say 2000 on till now, whatever. I mean, has it gotten worse or better than the 70s? I don't know.
I think it shifted over from physical to mental. I think it's the same, but just on different planes.
I don't know.
The racism?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's the culture still exists, so there's less blatant racism, even though it's reported in the news all the time. I think there's less of it in the world. There are some people that have come out, you know, the alt-right that sided with Trump. And so Trump, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately for him because it's unfair, he gets labeled with them just because they side with him. For instance, you know, we love to do that in society. My brother, for instance, he comes out to me, and, you know, I come from a family of ultra liberals, and the brother I'm talking about, he's an ultra liberal. And I post on Facebook how much I like Tulsi Gabbard. And he's like, David Duke loves Tulsi Gabbard.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he does, because, you know, she
what
takes
do you
a hard
do? I don't know. I mean, well, I mean, obviously they're not going to, like, the alt-right aren't going to side with Bernie Sanders. I mean, it's not going to happen. You know, I mean, people who think that way, it's impossible. Well,
Bernie Sanders is a Jew, so I'm talking about the alt-right side that's very racist and, you know, whatever. So, yeah, but my response to that, by the way, which I think you would find amusing, is my brother's a real fan of, I forget what they call themselves, the three. What's the term that they use for Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and the
Three Amigos?
No, they call them something.
The Squad?
The Squad, I think, is what it is. And Ilhan Omar, I said to him, and I've already reserved that. I haven't said it to my brother yet, but when he made the correlation with that, you know, with Tulsi, you know, my feeling was like, well, I bet David Duke likes chocolate too, and I love chocolate. But then I looked further, and David Duke loves Ilhan Omar for obvious reasons, right? All the stuff that she said against Israel, David Duke loves that.
Oh my goodness, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I know my brother supports her, and I'm just waiting for the moment that he posts some link related to Ilhan Omar, so I can put a meme. I'm going to create a meme with a picture of David Duke saying David Duke likes this or something like that, and then get back at him.
Well, I mean, that's a dang shame though when people go that far in their hatred. They'll switch to whatever side just so they hate who they hate.
Yeah, it's just Sunshine says they're three psychos. Now, I don't think they're psychos. I'm not a fan of Omar for obvious reasons, but I like Ocasio-Cortez, even though I disagree with her substantially. We've talked about this before. I like her passion a lot. Tlaib, I think, is totally incompetent, and I don't even know what she did before, but every time I
wore
hear
those dolphin shorts, what would you think of her?
Ocasio-Cortez, I probably
see. That's my problem. See, there you go.
But that's not the only thing. Like when she joined forces with Ted Cruz on some issue, I forget what the issue was. I thought this is the kind of stuff we need, even though she's so diehard crazy siding with socialists. She's able to go across the aisle and side with Ted Cruz on something. So I like that's what I love about Tulsi is Tulsi's like, yeah, I'm going to go on Fox News because even though I disagree with most of the people that watch them, if I'm president, I represent them. And that's what we didn't see in the Obama administration. That's what we're not seeing in the Trump administration. But I'd love to have a president who's firm, but she's literally walking the walk of having the desire to represent every American instead of 50%. So
yeah, I think I agree. I mean, if it's going to be a female president, they should be firm. I'm not sure about six-pack abs and all that stuff, but
oh boy, the Squad. Yeah, there we go. DB Cisco knew the Squad.
hey, it's not my fault. I was watching that. The heck's his name? Uncle Sam's channel, and got my mind all twisted up.
Yeah. If I was Jewish, I wouldn't like a Muslim too good, especially if they want to kill me. Well, it's those who live in the same spot, right? It's those who live in the Middle East. I haven't ever encountered a Muslim that I didn't like here. There haven't been many that I've encountered, but I've had a few Muslim friends, and they pay more attention to the peaceful aspect of Islam rather than the bad stuff.
Right. Yeah, I've only known a couple people well that are Muslim, and I don't know. People always warn me that you could never trust them, but to be honest, the people I knew, I trusted them more than any of my neighbors. And it's probably because I knew them fairly well, but they were, the husband had passed away, but lady's really nice, and they're nice people.
Yeah, I think Sister Sunshine, I don't think that's true. If you can point me to the Quranic scripture, Islamic scripture, I'm pretty sure that it's not in there that Muslims everywhere are required by their faith to want to kill Jews. In fact, I mean, subjugate them, yes, not kill them. In fact, they want a society where, I mean, it says specifically in the Quran to live peacefully with them, of course, as long as they pay their not being Muslim fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what that's called.
There is a verse in the Quran that says that Allah only loves those who are faithful and steadfast in jihad.
There are things, but I do think that I still think it depends on what time a person thinks they live within the Quran and where they're at and whether they feel they're under attack. I think a lot of that, really is important.
Well, there's like extra, like we have extra biblical stuff. There's also extra Quran stuff. And I think what
that stuff
sometimes says here about the end times, I think that's a hadith. I love David Wood's channel. And I don't think that, I think there's Shia and Sunni, and I think what you're posting, it either applies to one or the other and not both. Could even be a different. There's a lot of hadiths that a lot of the Muslims don't follow. They pay more attention to the Quran. And I'm not a supporter of Islam in any way. You already know. We talked about how if we put it in chronological order, it's an evil. It's very evil.
Absolutely, and the scary thing about it is,
don't have power. Be peaceful. When you have power, it's time to subjugate those who aren't Muslim. So
the really, really scary part is it always has the potential to be extremely dangerous. And I don't really believe Christianity has that unless you really twist things around. You know.
Yeah, well, Deep says something interesting. It takes religion to get good people to do evil. That's true, but religion doesn't have to be a religion of the deity. By the way, it could be atheism, and I have a perfect example. Just yesterday, I unfriended a guy who I'd been friends with for a long time, and I refriended on Facebook. He's a gay guy, ultra liberal. I worked with him at this plant and pottery shop when I was a teenager, and he was one of the funniest guys that I ever met. He never came on to me or anything like that. It wasn't, but he was a hilarious guy, and he happens to know like one of Marie's cousins too. It's like a super small world because he lived out here, and Marie's cousin lives in like Fontana or something. So it's crazy they met each other from a website. But I'm digressing. He gets into this conversation with my. I posted something on my Facebook about, and Sister Sunshine may have seen this, maybe Bruce saw it. The post about the flyer for the worship thing. We played worship at a harvest festival last weekend, and this guy responds. His name's Stan, and he says, "Worship. Why do you feel the need to even worship anything or something like that?" I mean, his religion is his atheism. He's very strong anti-theist, and my mom responds to that, my mother, and says, what an ass or something, referencing to him. And he responds immediately with F you. And it's like, I go, well, I can't let that go. And why I bring that up is, what DB Cisco says is, his religion, he's so steadfastly into this idea that worship of a God is so horrible that he just has this hatred for it. His religious dogma requires hatred of a belief in God, and it affects him so much that he knew that she was my mother. And what did he think he was going to get away with? You can't tell my mother F you. What am I supposed to do? Say, oh, don't do that, my friend? So
I got a friend named Philip who's an atheist, and he believes in like mental ascension and like meditation and all that. And he got into it, and like 5 years back, he ran his car into a telephone pole at 82 miles an hour, and he lived. But he had this thing in him just saying, like, because he was meditating, trying to get to mental ascension. And he said this thing came to him and kept telling him that he was invincible and he can't die. So he tested it, and he didn't die. And just recently, he went to prison because he was hanging out with his friend, and for some reason, he had this thought that his friend had an alien that took over his body and needed to cut it out. So he stabbed him in the stomach and sliced his stomach open, and his insides came outside. And he didn't die, though, but he went to jail for it.
There, though, right?
What?
There had to be some drugs involved there.
I don't know the whole situation. I just know that like he was having problems with his girlfriend, and that he got an argument and he left, and then came back. He's freaking out, saying that he killed somebody, but he didn't kill him because the guy didn't die, but he's pretty close to it.
Wow, that's insanity. But see, it's our inherent desire, because we have that hole in us when God isn't a part of it, that we try and fill it with these other crazy things. And that's an example there, unfortunately, but just that's my feeling. So I think the traffic has probably died down. So I'm probably this was a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but I'm glad you guys joined. Bruce, if you do something later, maybe I'll pop in. I'm going to I tried to go to Popeyes today to get that stupid chicken sandwich. People are out the door. So I'm going to see if I can get one now.
I just heard about that the other day. What's the hype about that?
I don't know. What happened is they call it Black Twitter, right? Black people on Twitter, when they first came out with it like 2 months ago, went crazy for this stupid chicken sandwich at Popeyes. It's so much so that it became super popular, and they ran out quickly. And so my wife and I went today to the Popeyes that's closest to us, line out the door, drive-through line out the door. We waited for like 10 minutes. And we get to the front, and the woman there she says to the person in front of us, we didn't hear before, well, you need to know that there's a 40-minute wait for the sandwich. And the woman's like, what are you talking about? How long? And she points to the back to like, it looked like 20 orders that were ahead of her, and all these people waiting in the place for their stupid chicken sandwich.
Yeah, I got a friend, Pastor Malik. He went and got one of those, and he said he waited 40 minutes to get it. And he went live on Facebook to show when he got it, and he was eating it live. And he said, it's pretty good, but I'm never going to get it again.
I have to ask, are you kidding about is there really a black Twitter, or is that like a joke?
It's a reference. It's like if you called Republican Twitter, it's an expression for. I'm trying to think of like an example here. Like if you called, it's just an expression. What would it be here? Like if there was
YouTube, you just got.
It's not a separate Twitter. It's just.
I got you. Okay.
Black people on Twitter. There were many of them.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I thought it maybe was a section. I never got on Twitter, but I thought maybe. Like they all hung together or something, like sort of like YouTube or something, and nobody else was allowed to comment if they weren't that kind of
no.
Nothing like that.
I knowing you, yeah, you definitely eat that up. You'd be like, that'd be like the black the pro-black clubs or the black parades. Where's the white clubs and the white parades?
Well, there are such things, obviously, but it's hard to tell what color they are underneath the sheets, But, but.
Well, they would say there are those, like it'd be like the Rose Bowl parade is a white parade. Like, eventually, I think society will phase out out of this stuff. I'm hopeful as things get fairer, people's perspective.
Well, yeah, in some ways it's better, but yeah, the reality is, the KKK do exist. I think, actually, I suspect Black Lives Matter probably started. Hopefully, I'd like to think they started with it as a good cause, and then unfortunately, I think it just got out of whack.
I think it's still a good cause, but you get bad people and everything. The Antifa group is a horrible group, but probably
Antifa's totally whacked out.
Yeah, probably started with good intentions and then people being stupid. So.
Well, when they start busting up colleges and crap, you can't expect too much good to come out of it.
I can't stand all that stuff. All of the lack of free speech in the colleges. We could talk about that another time too.
Yeah, I think some of their cause probably was good, but I think unfortunately I think anytime it's tough because people will start something like, my understanding is, from what I remember, looking at this stuff, some of the more radical, like Hispanic groups, I can't think what the heck they're called, like the Bloods, the Crips, and this and that, whatever. I can't remember.
MS 13 or something.
Hey, what? Yeah, MS 13, yeah, that kind of stuff. Like, I understand that some of those groups started out trying to defend their area and just friends and this and that, and then it evolved into something really bad, I don't know that they all had the idea to start out bad.
Well, that's what happened with that anonymous group. They started on a 4chan on the internet, and they did it by defending people against people who were getting trolled, and they started trolling bullies and stuff like that. And it took off, and they put on the fox mask, and everyone else started using the mask, and the name got soiled, and all the people who were really involved with it, they hung up the mask. They didn't wear it anymore, and people were able to tell, like, people who were really in the group, they didn't mess with the mask. The people that were wearing the mask and repping that mask, you could tell that they were fakes, and eventually ended up killing it. And then the guys anonymous brought the mask back now, so it's been coming back within like the last year.
I don't follow you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, a lot of people just started putting it on and just like vandalizing stuff and doing stupid stuff and just ruining the whole name.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to head on out. It's been a pleasure.
You're leaving.
Yeah, silence kills the hate group. That's the message.
Well, you have a good night, Rob. It was good chatting with you guys. I always enjoy you too.
You too. So we'll talk. See if you set something up a little bit later. I'll look for you, Bruce.
Wait a minute. What? What?
But I'm going to talk like this.
Hey, what hate group? Where? Who?
Oh, well, that's what you have to watch the beginning of the video. I was explaining that to you. It was the Yoke Up group before, and then it was A Mighty Wind, and it was Silence that really led to their demise.
Oh yeah. But I'm trying to think. But I don't even see a hate group now. Anything really going on? Nothing.
That's exactly right. That was my point too.
I don't see nothing.
It's a confession, but I was explaining to Sam and to Francis and to Shani's mom, I don't view you as a hate group. So I wasn't.
Well,
but the same thing does apply. That
I don't agree with that because I'm kidding. But look, I mean, to be quite honest, all I really have to do is go to the Uncle Sam channel and look through it, and that's just what I see. And maybe other people see it differently. It's what I see, And so that's they can do it. Man. I'm done.
I'll give them.
I am allowed to talk about it, but as far as dedicating any real time to it, nah, no more.
I just see a lot of flatulation and.
Yeah.
Well, that's a real mature way to deal with everything. That's for sure.
Well, besides, he gets off on it. He likes its attention, whether it's negative or not. And as soon as you start dropping it off, he immediately dives into it and tries to get it rolling again. Even the thing where Andy and I had a disagreement, he has to upload stuff to keep it going and stuff. And I'm like, man, I just don't want to deal with that anymore. And I'm not saying never will, a little bit here and there, but I mean, as far as dedicating a lot of time, no.
Yeah, we'll see how Silence goes. There's certainly to be a response to this video, and I think I could probably be quiet about it as long as Francis isn't commenting on one of my videos I did.
No, I definitely agree with the Silence thing. So what I see about it is people that are uniting together under hate that used to be separated will separate again, and things will just go back to calming down.
And the message there was let God work. If you feel you were led by God to give a word, then let that be enough, and then let God do His thing.
The thing that'll be tough, I think, at least for me, it's always been tough, is that if you leave it alone for a while, eventually you'll see new recruits and people joining in, and they'll have no idea. They won't even care. I mean, and they can look at all the videos beating the hell out of people, even their own family, and they don't even freaking care. But for people like that, I don't really think you can help. Well, I don't know if you can, but it seems awful difficult.
If videos are there, because my Mighty Wind videos are still there, so you search for them, you'll find them, and so I hope they're there for people to see. But that was what God had me do then, and I it's powerful when I look at the video now that Sam reposted, and I see that in the 7 years that was an effective method. They've killed themselves now, basically. Then that's confirmation for me that what we did was right. So we'll see.
I see it all the time with different churches, churches that are hateful. I see, they always have the same number of people. They never grow. People come in, sometimes they stay, but more or less they realize what's going on and they walk away, and then new people come in. So it's always an in and out. It never grows. It just stays the way it is. It's just new faces, but it's the same size.
That's right. You see that all the time.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I didn't see his latest video, so you're saying, he's not calling. Yeah, he's not calling for the silence. He's just saying hypocrisy.
Yeah, he's saying I'm a hypocrite. But I'm only a hypocrite if my message was don't say anything, and that wasn't the message. There's a season for silence, and I was saying it was time for that. I felt at that point, because our lack of silence was what was the only thing that, to me, the message from God was, it was the only thing that was keeping them together, and that was the truth. It turned out to be true. When we got quiet, then they started fighting, and now many of them are mortal enemies. You remember T2 Todd too. Now he hates Elizabeth and she hates him, and he was one of her staunchest supporters. It's really,
he was always a nice guy,
Oh, totally. He thinks I'm a vampire.
And exactly. You too, I think. I think he wished to do something real horrible too.
So I'm going to go out on this note. This is the song that I wrote because of the Oz Lady in Red situation, and Red Lady refers to her. It's called Meta Red Lady, but Red Lady is really a euphemism for sin as well.
I do hope that I can still hear the playing, because I'm heading up to the cemetery
to dig up some graves. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, as long as they're wearing those dolphin. No, never mind. Enough's enough. Enough of that.
Enough is enough. Exactly. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care.
God bless, Rob. God bless, Bruce.
God bless you.
See you.
You guys have a good night.
Good night.
I met a red lady. She waved when I saw. She's sitting in the doorstep, no light within the room. And she called out, and I fell in. She gave a smile. I floated in the wind. I met a red lady. She stole my lonesome soul. I thought I found a diamond. She's a shallow lump of coal. She feeds on the fires of the cold pit of hell. So I shout for the Lord to save me from myself.